Hello and welcome to Casino Blog. I'm your host, Vegas Vic. In this episode of Casino Blog, I want to tell you about 5 things you must never do when playing blackjack. This episode is a follow-up to my earlier blog about blackjack. So, what are these terrible things that will eat your money? Tip number 1. Don't play on tables with continuous shufflers. What is this? A shuffling machine usually shuffles decks of cards which are then taken out and either dealt by the dealer by hand or placed into a traditional blackjack shoe. In some cases, these machines can also deal out a specific number of cards per hand, such as in Let It Ride, Caribbean Stud, 3-card poker, and so on. But in blackjack, be very careful. There are many kinds of automatic shuffling machines. Among these, the worst is the continuous shuffler. This is a horrible machine that keeps shuffling all of the discarded cards. So, instead of having the discarded cards placed in the discard tray, so that they stay out of play, on blackjack games using continuous shufflers, the dealer simply scoops up all the discarded cards and puts them right back in the shuffler. So, these cards are back in play again for the next deal. This means that, theoretically, you can get back the very same cards you threw away on the very next hand. But why is this very bad? Because games like this are nothing more than really bad slot machines played with cards and with terrible odds and paybacks. Traditional blackjack is a dependent game. This means that the cards that have been dealt out have a direct influence on the cards that are still left to play. That's the principle on which card counting is based, as well as the card observation strategy I mentioned in my earlier blog about blackjack. So, with a continuous shuffler, now all of that is gone, and so is any advantage that you might have had. And if you hear someone telling you that a continuous shuffler is mathematically better, just remember that they are talking about advanced math theory and that this has very little to do with your ability to win on these tables when you are playing. Simply put, playing on tables with a continuous shuffler means that you cannot practice any blackjack playing skills. It's a horrible game, so do not ever play on such tables. Learn to spot the differences in shuffling machines. If the machine only shuffles the decks, or deck, and then this deck or decks are either dealt by hand or placed in a fixed shoe, then this is okay. But if the discarded cards are immediately placed back into the shuffler, watch out. That is the very bad game, so stay away from it and save your money. The best games are those that do not use any shuffling machines at all and are dealt by hand and shuffled by hand by the dealer. Period. Those are the blackjack games you should play. All standard rules being equal, of course. Tip number 2. Do not play electronic blackjack tables. In some casinos, there are electronic blackjack games. Usually, these are tables that look just like a blackjack game, but with a large TV monitor on which is the image of a human dealer. Each of the playing spots has a small screen on it, and you play your blackjack game by touching the screen to make bets, and to stand or hit or fold, and so on. Whatever the available rules and options on that particular version of this electronic blackjack game are. But this is not the same blackjack game as you will find on traditional blackjack tables. This electronic game is nothing more than a slot machine with really bad odds and bad pays. Usually much worse than the same game you can find just next to it, with real cards and real chips and real dealers. On electronic blackjack tables and games, you cannot play with any strategy and you cannot count cards. This is because these games are dealt by computers and the virtual card decks are continuously being shuffled by the electronic brain of this game. This is the same thing as with the continuous shufflers I mentioned in tip number 1. Save your money. Stay away from these electronic blackjack games. This also applies to any slot machine that has video blackjack as an option. Do not play it. If you do, despite this warning, you will be a loser before you even start, and your money will fly away faster than you can blink. Most games of this kind have a house edge over you of 20% or more, depending on the available rules and how well or badly you play. It's just not worth it. If you're that desperate to play blackjack, save your money by not playing these bad games, and then go to a casino where you can play on proper live blackjack games and tables. Tip number 3. Never split 10 value cards. Sounds simple, right? You get 2 10 value cards, either the tens themselves or jacks, kings, or queens, it doesn't matter. Any such combination is an immediate 20. This means only the dealer's total of 21 can beat you. So do not split them. If you do, you will most likely turn a very good hand into 2 very bad hands. This is one of the biggest mistakes that players make in the game of blackjack. There are only 2 occasions where such an act would be of advantage to the player. One, in a blackjack tournament in the very last few hands. That requires a lot of professionalism, so that discussion should be between you and your coach. Second, done by a very good card-counting expert in a situation where the deck is so rich with 10 value cards and aces that the expert knows that this play will result in a positive cash advantage. But again, this is for the real pros, and it takes a lot of skill and years of practice to know how to do this properly. So just don't do it. Tip number 4. Do not hit heart 17. Again, this sounds simple, right? But you'd be surprised how many people do this. Actually, this is usually because they mistake a soft 17 with a hard 17. A soft 17 is an ace and a 6. So, with that hand, you can either hit and sometimes double up safely. But a hard 17 is a hand with a 10 value card and a 7. Not much chance to improve here. There are only 4 cards that can help. The 4, the 3, the 2, and the ace counted as 1. That's it. Any other card and you'll bust. So stay put on heart 17 and let the dealer draw cards. Many times the dealer will bust and you will win with a hand that otherwise would have lost most of the time if you hit it. Hitting on heart 17 is a surefire way to lose your money fast and go home broke. Tip number 5. Do not buy insurance. On all traditional blackjack tables, there is a half circle in which it says, "Insurance pays 2 to 1." This is a house bet, and that's why it is always pushed by the dealers. Whenever a dealer is showing an ace as an up card, before he checks to see if the other card is a 10 value card for the blackjack, the natural 21, he will ask the players for insurance. If he does have the blackjack and you did insure the bet, you still lose your original wager, but get paid for the insurance at 2 to 1. However, the house edge on this bet is 7.7%, and the odds against the dealer actually having a blackjack are 9 to 4, meaning it is clearly to your advantage to not buy the insurance. Furthermore, if the dealer does have a blackjack, and so do you, then you push. But since most of the time the dealer will not have it, when you do, then you get paid 3 to 2 for the natural. Also, don't take the even money option. That too is a sucker bet. So either way, you win by not buying the insurance and not taking even money. The blackjack insurance bet is one of the biggest sucker bets in the casino. So don't do it. Bonus tip. In my earlier casino blog about blackjack, I mentioned this tip. Do not play on tables that pay 6 to 5 for the natural 21, the blackjack. This is very important, and it bears repeating. You can watch that episode of Casino Blog, or you can log on to my website, morecasinodeals.com, where I have written about this very bad rule. It's right there on the home page. So, until next time, play smart and play to win. I hope you enjoyed these 2 episodes about blackjack and how to win by knowing what to do and what not to do. See you soon. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of my casino blog, and please visit me for more information on my website at morecasinodeals.com. So until next time, I'll see you in the casino. So long.